Hello, everyone. Good morning. I'm just going to adjust my mic here so I can see my screen. Let's see if this works. Okay, we are live. Hello, hello. Let's see if anybody shows up on this Monday morning. Oh, I see some people. Good. Hello. Just give everyone a second or two just to locate the video, whether it be on Facebook or on YouTube. Oh, Lynn's got a few minutes before she visits baby Luca. Well, say hello from us. Okay, we are going to get started. We are going to be launching our July calendar page. I know we're a little late this month. It's summertime. It's busy. Trying to keep up with all the things is hard because you're adding in so many other things in life things, busy weekends and so on. And Shelby was away, and I'm not doing this without her. So she's back now. Yay. So we're a little bit late this month. And I'm not going to lie, the ink is barely dry on the layout, but it is done and it is fabulous. So yes, and I'm going to get started on the August page quickly. So we will be in good shape for that. So you are looking at the bundle right now, and we are using the Sunny Days collection from Simple Stories this month. It's going to contain a 12 by 12 sticker sheet, 2 sheets of pattern paper, a sheet of white cardstock, and you're going to get 2 of these lovely little glassine envelopes. And that is what your bundle is going to contain. It will also contain a photo, but I don't have the photo here. So when you get your bundle, you will have all of that great stuff. And then we will put this video on the playlist on our YouTube channel under the 2025 calendar series. So it'll be really easy to find, even if you're watching this video 5 years from now. So, and some of you are going to giggle when you watch this video 5 years from now, because you'll think, oh, wow, I really expected to get to this much sooner than 5 years, but we all know what happens. I know some of you are really keeping up to date, and that's fabulous. But I know life gets in the way, and we all have great intentions, and sometimes that happens. So, yes, we will definitely bookmark this for you on our YouTube channel. Facebook, it will disappear after 30 days, but it will be there for the next 30. So while I'm yapping away here, please feel free to like this video. It's very, very important. And I know I keep saying it, and you want to tell me to just be quiet, but just give it a thumbs up. Karen says, I've only made 1 page since the calendar pages started. That's okay. It's not a contest. Maybe, I always say this, maybe we should have crop nights, like virtual crop nights, where we have to work on calendar pages or something like that. I don't know. I always have good intentions too, but my weeks are so busy and so full with just trying to get done all the things I have to get done that I don't have a lot of time for extra things right now, but who knows, maybe we could do that. Lynn's up to date. Yes. Well, some of us are pretty diligent about it. And I mean, you can look at it and approach it in a lot of different ways. And I have sort of tried to do this for myself. My problem is, and I'm sure it is like this with many of you, is that you like to do so many things. And especially in the summertime, it is really hard to set aside time for all of the things that you like. So you have to pick and choose what's most important to you and just do that. And you can just do your best. That's all you can do. So, okay, well, we've got 30 eyes on me now, so I'm going to get going. Okay, so I'll set the bundle aside right now. We're going to talk a little bit. Oh, no, I guess I should show you the layout. That would be a good idea. Now, I'm not sure if I can get the whole thing on, so we'll do it in pieces. So this is the calendar side of the layout. And you can see it's for the month of July. So there's those die cut letters that we always sell each month to put at the top of your calendar. And there is tags on this layout. I love tags. And this is sort of my collage of photos, just highlighting the things that happened during the month. I've said before that I always do last year's photos because I'm supposed to be working ahead. So that way I can kind of stay ahead of you guys. So this, I definitely had to get this photo on. This is a picture of my grandkids. That's Olivia, she's the youngest, and then Liam. So those are last year's photos. And then Owen made the page. And then we do a lot of biking in the summer with our e-bikes. So those photos made that as well. And then we have the actual layout, which I love how it turned out. Again, I think for me, making the backgrounds for the layouts are more fun than the actual page itself. I've been just having so much fun doing all kinds of different things. And yeah, you just never know what you're going to end up with. So this time around, it's a multi-step background, and there's a few different techniques on it. So I will be breaking that down for you so that you can see how I created that. But you can see that large sort of sun in the background with stitching, but that's optional. And the ink blending and splattering. And it features 2 of the photos. They're a carryover from this day here. We were down in the Elora Gorge. The littles love to go down there. It takes them to a whole new world, and they love exploring. So I got the boys on here. Lots of things going on this page. I really had a lot of fun putting it together, and I will break that all down for you when I go through all of the add-ons. Okay, so any questions about the page that you want to ask before I carry on? Oh, Yvonne says I have so much creativity. Sometimes, yes. And so this is a thing for me. I don't like to be pressured. So when I leave it too long in the month, I feel like I have to rush, and that's why I delayed it a week, to be honest. I mean, I certainly could have done the launch without Shelby. I do appreciate her being here very much, but I could have done it without her. But I really don't like to be pressured when I create. I need that time for the creativity to flow. So that's why I delayed the release a week, but that's okay. And you are going to notice something on here. Can you notice something that we used last month on this page? And I'm going to tell you guys, it's going to appear very often because this is going to be my new signature thing, at least for right now. Do you need to be advanced with inks? Nope. When you break the techniques down on this page, they're not difficult, and it's absolutely nothing that we haven't done before. So really, 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 really easy to put together. It's just breaking it down into steps. So definitely not tricky. Stitching well, that may be a signature thing. Yes. Marianne says that's the signature thing. Kim has got it. It is the postage. So you'll see here the little postage stamps that I've tucked into these areas on the page. I absolutely love making the little postage stamps, and they are going to appear on almost everything I do. I just love doing them. They're so easy, and they don't require a theme. So you can use them for absolutely anything that you're creating, and they fit in. And they're so easy and so fun to do. So we do have a separate video on our YouTube channel just on how to make these little postage stamps. I'll briefly show you how I made the ones today. But if you want a good kind of overhaul, there were some postage stamps on last month. And I actually didn't do the tutorial for the postage stamps in the video. I actually forgot by the time we were all done. But it was kind of a good thing because I did a separate video just on how to do the postage stamps, because that is definitely something that I think is a standalone thing and can be used on almost everything. So I will show you a little sample of some of the postage stamps that I did make in the video. There are a couple of travel ones. So that's the ones down here at the bottom. And then these ones are Christmas ones. And you'll notice that I made 3. There's one missing because I've already actually used it on something. And then the top ones are fall ones, which I did in the video as well. So they are just so fun to add to your projects, and really easy to do as well. And you can use up scraps and little bits and pieces. I actually made these ones with a scrap piece of paper that I was using as my tester page. So I'm going to show you my process for that. Okay, so Lynn's going to catch us later. Yep, anybody can go in and out. We can do replay. It's not a problem. So, okay, so we're going to get started. I'm going to keep my layout close by here because I'm going to go through the add-ons, because that is always a list Some months are a little heavier than others. Before we get going too much, if you tuned in for last month's video and you pre-ordered postage collage dies or stamps, Waffle Flower was sold out. So we have reordered those and they just haven't shipped to us yet. They're doing a new release right now, and sometimes that slows things down. And if you're not familiar with how we do things at our store, we have a US address that we ship everything to. And then we have a broker that we work with, and we bring our shipments across the border every other week. So that gives us a nice continuous flow of product, which is really great. We have almost zero issues with customs and all of that stuff. So we have a lot of control over what goes on when we bring things across. Now, the downfall to that is that if a shipment arrives the day of our delivery or the day after, that shipment then just sits there for 2 weeks. So sometimes the timing of things is a little bit off. And that is just the price we pay for this awesome system that we use. Now, unfortunately, Waffle Flower still has not shipped. They are back in stock now. It took a little bit for them to come back, and they haven't shipped to us yet. So we have a delivery coming across this Thursday. It will likely not make that delivery. So that means it's going to be another 2 weeks before that arrives. Now, I know that sometimes that's disappointing, but I also know that 85% of you either already have that postage stuff or you're not up to date on your pages anyway. But I completely understand the fact that we want those things in our hand. I am guilty as well. We do our very best to get things rolling as quick as possible, but we are at the mercy of these companies for shipping. So during launches for new releases, sometimes things get slowed down a little bit, and then products go in and out of stock. So those postage items are coming. So if you are wanting to purchase postage items this time, again, they will be arriving towards the end of the month. And if we have to top up our order, because I know not everyone jumps on these add-ons immediately, but when they see them used over and over again, they think, okay, you know what? This is something I'm going to get some use out of. So definitely know that we are on it. Shelby's just popped a message up there. They are on pre-order in the calendar section. So you can pre-order if you need to. And then that way, as soon as they come, they'll be pulled from our shipment and your order will be processed right away. So, or you can add them to your wish list, and when they're back in stock, you can snag them then. So whatever works for you. But let's run through our add-ons. So basic stuff that we do every month. So the first thing would be the little add-ons for the die cut letters. And those we put on the calendar side of our layout. So if you're not doing this as a calendar page, this is probably not going to apply to you. But the way I'm doing it, and the way I know a lot of people are doing it, is a 2-page spread in your album. And just, it can either bookmark the beginning of a month, or it can be the only thing that you do each month as far as scrapbooking goes. So by the end of the year, you'll have 12 months done and you'll have a full year scrapbooked. And then if you want to go back and do pages in between these calendar pages, you are more than welcome to do that. But that's kind of where this system is heading. Now, if you are someone who's been with us for a really long time and you do calendars as a gift, then this can actually be turned into a calendar. You buy a blank 12 by 12 calendar. You wouldn't need this calendar page, but you'd want to pick these up so you could put this on. And then this layout would go at the top of your calendar, and then the calendar would be below. So I know that it's not going to fit on my screen, but it'd be kind of like this, you know, so it would be something that you could hang on your wall. We used to do calendar kits all the time, and then we sort of revamped them. But I know a lot of people are doing these layouts. You know, they just kind of jump in whenever they see something that appeals to them. So that's entirely up to you. But if you want the July letters, that is an add-on. And then we have the calendar page itself. So we don't include this in our bundles because not everybody does this. So if you need a calendar page, don't forget to pick one of those up. They are just in that shopping section as well. We try to put a little shopping section together for each month and put in the items that we use. So if you're not finding something, just email us and we're happy to help you find that. Okay, sanding block. So pretty much every month I use a sanding block because I like to sand the edges of my photos. So you can see up close there, the edges of those photos are sanded. And I really like how that looks. And it's something that I do every month. Excuse me. This month we're using white floss for stitching. And I know not everybody likes stitching. So you can leave that component off. When we get to talking about the background, there'll be a couple of different options for you as far as how you want to handle that. And you can still get a very similar look. I love the stitching. I love the way that it adds texture to the page. I'll just give you a little close up there. It's really easy to do. Sure, it's an extra step, but if you don't enjoy it, then certainly skip over it. But if you haven't tried it, I encourage you to give it a shot. And if you love it, then there will always probably be some sort of stitching on the page. Not always, but I do like to add it. Clear gems. It doesn't matter what kind of clear gems you use. I've used clear gems on my page in several spots. I really like neutrals. If you're a really colorful person and you want to have colored gems, you can take a look through our online store and see if something catches your eye. Enamel dots work nicely too. But I have a whole case of these gems that are fairly neutral. And this is the section of my gem storage that I go to the most. You can see I do have some colorful options as well. And I have several cases of themed things and other stuff, but I do generally grab neutrals. So this one here, it's the Gina K Clear Quartz Sequins. Those are the ones that I use a lot. I really love the way that they look, but I do sometimes go towards clear gems and crystals as well. But I do like the neutral option. But like I said, if you like something more colorful, feel free to pull colors of the collection out and you can do whatever. But there you can see how those sequins are used. And they look quite nicely with the line. They just coordinate with everything if they're neutral. T-square ruler, I use that a lot too. Just very helpful for lining things up, especially the title. Now, it might look like my title is a little bit not lined up, but it's because the J is a little larger naturally when you cut it out. So a T-square ruler, you just put it against the edge of your paper, and then you slide your ruler up to where you want. And then when you're sticking your letters down, you just butt them right up against the edge, and then everything will be perfectly lined up. So that is a great tool to have in your stash. This one is from My Sweet Petunia, and I think it comes in a pack of 2. And these are the 12 by 12 ones. So these are awesome. Do you have the storage containers in the store? So you must be talking about these. So these are storage for tiny things. I didn't check inventory before I went live. Maybe Shelby, if she has a minute, she can check. And if so, she'll put a link up. Yes, we do. So these are amazing. And they're not just for gems. So you can use these for all kinds of things. Tailored Expressions on their YouTube channel. You'll have to scroll back a bit, but they've had a couple videos now where they show different storage ideas, obviously using their products. And wow, the stuff that you can do with this is pretty amazing. And I had a lot of questions about this when it first came out. Can you tip this upside down and have things not spill? Well, I'm not going to demonstrate it live, but the container itself does. I'll just open it again. This here does rest right up against this. You might get the odd one that sneaks out into another section, but for the most part, it does stay sealed. So it's not a big deal. So if you like to transport things, I personally would probably still transport them flat. So if you can get them into some kind of container flat. Amanda says she's dropped hers. I figured someone would chime in and say that they'd done it. But yeah, it's called Storage for Tiny Things, and it works so good. They have a number of dies that cut out geometric shapes, and then you can use those shapes to create different scenes on your card fronts. And so you can use this for storage for all those pieces. If you have alphabet letters that you cut out, and you just want to have a selection of them already cut so that you don't have to, pull your dies out all the time, it's a great way to organize that. even little die cuts and bits and pieces. If you are pre-prepping something for a weekend away or a day of crafting or anything like that, all your little bits can go in the little containers. There's actually a lot of really great uses for it. So it's not just for crystals, but it is pretty awesome. Okay, so we talked about the ruler. Obviously, if you're going to do stitching, you're going to need the needles for stitching. So we have those in stock as well. Piercing tool to do the holes and a piercing mat. So I have all kinds of stuff stacked up on my cart here. I didn't organize this very well. Well, I organized it. I just stacked everything on top of it. So this is the most current piercing mat that we can get. And this one fits inside of these containers. Oh, mine are all in use. Okay, hang on. Let me see if I got a big one here. That's the thing. You get these containers and you start putting lots of things in them. And then they're never empty when you need them to be. Okay, so here's one. These are the craft stacks from Spellbinders. So inside of here, it's usually empty. So here we go. So you can use both the lid and the container. And once you get a number of them, you can stack them. And they're really helpful for using... Oh, do we have a 12 by 12 piercing mat? Oh, good. Thank you. I know we were out of stock for a little while. But these are great for storing little bits and pieces in. And then they have this size as well. And these stack on top too. So you can get 2 of these on top of one of these, or you can just stack up a whole bunch of things. So it's great for, like, again, projects that you've got started or whatever. They do have these little magnetic panels that you can now get to put inside. So if you're storing dies or something in them, these magnetic panels are available. But also this goes in here like so. And this is to be used with that all-in-one tool. I'm trying to find mine. Hold on. It's here somewhere. Now mine's a different color because this is all that was available back then. I think I picked this up at a garage sale. But Spellbinders has their own, it's called Tool-in-One. And this is really great to use to clean out the little bits in your dies. So for instance, this one, see all these little holes in here? So you would just put this upside down and run the Tool-in-One over this. And then all the little bits of paper fall out. And then you can just take this little mat and you can flick it off in the garbage. So it is a great little tool, but it also works really well for a piercing mat. So if you want just a small one, you can get this, but we do have a 12 by 12 size in the shopping section, which is nice when you're working on a 12 by 12 piece of paper for sure. Okay, so that is that. Let's get rid of all this stuff so that we can actually see what we're doing. You will need a black ink for stamping if you're going to do the techniques that I'm going to share. And I'm sure a lot of you already have black ink. Any black ink will work for this. It's not technique specific. So it doesn't matter what brand or what kind you have. You can just choose a black ink. And it will be for a little bit of stamping on here that we're going to be doing to make our title. Plus you will use it for stamping on the postage pieces as well. And then I also use a separate ink for splattering. And my favorite one right now is the Winsor & Newton ink. We have it in black, white, gold, and silver. So the black is the one that I'm going to use. And brushes are really important when you are splattering. So if you have a favorite splatter brush already, go ahead and use that. If you're looking for a good set of splatter brushes, these fusion brushes from Yasutomo are really awesome because they have different size tips on them. So sometimes you want chunky splatter, sometimes you want fine splatter. Also, in the past, we've also carried the fan brush, which is really good too. So if you have a fan brush, that will work as well. But in this set here, I'm going to be using the number 2 brush to do my splatter this time. And I do have a little box that I've made up that is my splatter box. And while the weather's nice, I generally take it outside and do it on the grass, just because that way any overspray will go there. I don't like to splatter in my craft room because it does get on your desk. No matter how good you are, it does tend to go out there. So, but you'll notice that in the background of my layout, I have done some splatter. And I really think that makes a big difference on your layout. So I do like to do that. For that, you will need some sort of non-stick surface. So I work on a glass mat that is magnetic, but we also have smaller versions that are quite handy to have as well. This is the 6x9. It's also magnetic. And I even often use it on top of this surface that I'm working on now, because then when I'm done with this, I can just pick it up and set it aside and worry about cleaning it later. It's very helpful to have. I love the 6x9 size. We have a travel size mat that's magnetic as well, so a little bit bigger than this. And then this is the biggest one that I work on all the time. So a non-stick surface is a good little tool to have. And then also your best friends will be the alcohol spray and the microfiber cloth, which are also in the shopping section. This little bottle is what I put my alcohol in. I prefer to use anything 70% or higher. Now, Amanda recently purchased 99% alcohol, and she finds it works fine, but it's really strong. And, so you get that real like alcohol smell when you're using it. I use 70% and it works great for all the things that I've been using it for. So as long as it's about 70% or higher, you should get good results. And then I love this spray bottle. So we do sell those as well. So those are great little tools to have. Masking paper. So we have several different kinds of masking paper in the section for you to choose from. Any of them will work. One of the options we do have are masking strips, and I will get into more detail about that when I show you how I did the background. They will work 100%. But you may want to choose a full sheet of masking paper over that, just because then you can have a little control over how wide your strips are. They have different sizes in that package and they will work. But if you want to have control over what you are cutting, then definitely get the packages that have the full sheets of masking in them. So we have the Altenew one. These ones are the largest sheet that we have. Does it tell you what size they are? It does not, but they're big. I want to say, let's just measure to be sure. They are 8.25 by almost 12 inches, 11.75. So they're nice and big. There's 10 sheets in a pack. You will get lots of use out of them. Then there's also the Masking Magic Gina K's version. For the technique we're going to be using today, you're going to want to cut them the long way because you're going to need the length for that. And then we also have, we did have the Inkadinkadoo version. I know I've had that in my stash too. So we do have a few options for masking paper. Again, if we sell out, don't panic. This is something we carry all the time. So just add it to your wish list or email us at the store and we will notify you when we get more. So don't get too upset if you miss out because it's just something that we stock all the time. And then natural twine. We sell this by the yard as we do the white floss. So if you want to just buy it by the yard. I don't know if we have any skeins left. We do get it in from Altenew as well. So either way, but same thing with the natural twine. So the natural twine I did use for the little bows that I did on the tops of my tags. And there's lots of different options. If you're not a bow person, there's lots of different ways you can use the twine. Some people just wrap it around the top just for added dimension and texture. Some people just loop it through and kind of have like tails on it. So there's a few different options if you don't like the bows, but either way, they work quite nice. I did use the Walnut Stain Distress Ink again this month. This is something that I use quite frequently on the layouts, but I haven't used it in a little bit. But I did use it, especially when I made my postage stamps and the applicator tool for that. And then as far as ink blending brushes, I used the 1-inch brushes from Pink Fresh right here. And that is to do the large background, the lighter shade of the blending. And then I came in with a more detailed blending brush and I did the darker shade. And it's a little more targeted and you can get a little bit more pressure. So a couple different styles of ink blending brushes are helpful. And then, okay, as far as dyes go, this is something that we've used in the past. It's the Tailored Expressions Reinforcement dye. And this is for tags. We use this quite frequently whenever I use tags on a layout. This time I used it to cover the top of my tag. The tag itself from the patterned paper, I'll just pull the tags over here. You can see it actually does have a brown topper on it, but it's flat and just sort of blends in. So I went over that with my reinforcement tag topper die, and I just like that it creates a little bit of texture and just a little bit of added detail. So that's optional. You don't have to do that. I did use the Waffle Flower postage collage die. This is the A2 size. Now, if you have the A6 size, the mini slim size, maybe even the A7 size, the little dies that come in the middle of them, these ones here, this is where I got the postage one. So I think all of those other sets also have this die as well. It might be slightly larger or maybe even slightly smaller. I'm not sure what the postage, what the mini slim size of that is. But that is the die that we're using. We're not using the big panel die. We're using this little die here. So I used it last month as well. Like I said, so many people have this postage collage die that it's probably something that most of you have in your stash. But if not, you can pre-order it now. And as soon as we get our shipment in, we should be able to fill that order for you. So it's definitely something that I'm going to be using frequently as I create layouts, because it's a great way to make your own embellishments. And like I said, I think it just fits in with almost any theme. So that is something that I will be adding. And then I did use 2 of the stamps that go along with the postage collage system. So when they do a postage collage release, they often come out with these little stamp sets, and they can be used with the system or completely on their own. There's lots of little things in here that are fun to use. Some are a little more icon heavy than others, but this was early on when the postage collage was just coming out. So this is the original postage collage stamp, and it has the postage mark, and it has lots of different denominations for the value of your stamps. And just simple things like sending hugs, hugs inside. It's got the little envelope, another postage mark here. It's got an airmail stamp, first class, different things like that. And then I also pulled in the fall one. Now, the thing I like about the fall one is look at the size of the postage mark here and the one that they have here and here. They're much smaller, and I think it works really well for these little postage stamps that I'm making for the layouts. So I do love this one. Plus, it has different denominations. I particularly like the 25 cents. It's kind of bold and big. So I've been using that one a lot. And again, if you compare this one says mail. This one says fall mail. So again, a little more themed for fall. I won't be using that on my layout today, but it's definitely something that, you know, you can watch. It's got a little maple leaf in there. It's got little swirl lines for leaves, which is kind of fun. So lots of really cool things. So I did use stamps from both of these. Okay, I'm not paying attention to comments. Do you sell individual sheets of masking? Monica, we do not. No, they only come in packs. So again, you kind of have to decide for yourself if it's something that you're going to use. But masking paper is very, very helpful. You can mask off areas on your pages and card fronts so that you can ink blend in certain areas. The strip option that I'm going to show you today is really cool. You can also use it to create scenes with your critters and things. It makes things look like they're overlapped. So lots of really great uses. I don't think, and it's not something that's going to spoil either. It's like an adhesive sheet with low tack adhesive on it. So it's a really good product to kind of have in your stash, but it only comes in packs. They don't have individual sheets. So I hope that answers your questions. I'm just looking to see if I've got any more. Nope, good. Okay. What else is on the list? Oh, yes. I pulled in a couple of other stamp sets. So we've got 2 from Hero Arts. Now, I am always telling you guys that card making supplies and scrapbooking supplies really are one and the same. They cross over back and forth quite nicely. And I really love using my stamps and dies on my layouts. So in this particular case, my title, the celebrate word, came from this stamp set right here. It is called, I don't know why they call it this. It's our anniversary. So weird. I agree. The two large words in here are celebrate and party. I use celebrate. Now you can celebrate anything. You can celebrate summer, winter, spring, fall. You can celebrate Easter, birthdays, Christmas, anniversaries, and so on and so on and so on. So it really is a very versatile die. And as you can see, it's a beautiful size for a layout. Now we're going to jazz it up a little bit with some ink blending and some stamping. You can cut it out of any color that you want. And you can even repeat it on your page if you want to do techniques like that too. So I think the large word dies are a great investment. And when you can get something as versatile as the word celebrate, it's awesome. It also comes with a bunch of supporting sentiments that you can use, like celebrate anniversaries, make a wish, you did it, graduation. It has stamps like it's your and it's a. So if you're, scrapbooking a birthday party or, I don't know, whatever you party, New Year's Eve party, like whatever, special day, retirement, congratulations, today and every day. Cheers to you. So proud of you. It's my let's, hooray, birthday. And then you have some larger words too. These ones don't come with dies. But again, I did use the celebrate word here. Now I did pull in some cards that Amanda had made somewhere here in my file, just to show you what the cards look like for this too. So here is a card using the party word. Okay, so we've just taken that party word and cut it out of black. And then there's the word let's, and that's from this stamp set here. So you can create titles and things the same way on your layouts. So there's the let's party. Here is the party. So again, she's used the smaller party and the large die cut party on this card. And then here is the word celebrate. Oh, this is a different one. Sorry, I forgot. She used a different one. But then these are the smaller today and every day, which come from down here. Yeah. So, but you can see how these larger words, like even if you have a word like this, celebrate, you could move that onto your page as well. So that is the large words. And then the next thing I pulled in is a stamp set that creates these party fans. And this is called Party Fan. And it has 2 stamps in here, same size, to do the large fan, and then 2 to do the small. So that allows you to do multiple stamping all at once. It is super cool. I love this because, again, it's one of those things that is very versatile. These fans can be turned into Christmas ornaments. They can be used for birthday parties. They can be used for anniversaries, graduations. They can be used for, oh gosh, I don't know, in the spring, like those pinwheels. You can there's so many options. Again, it's not season specific or topic specific. And you can see that I did intersperse them throughout the layout. This is the small size for added embellishments. We're working with a 12 by 12 sticker sheet. And although I loved the sticker sheet and I used quite a few items from it, I found it a little bit limiting because not everything applied to my layout. So I'm just going to bring the sticker sheet on and show you what I'm talking about. So here in Ontario, we don't really surf. So the surfing aspect of this was kind of out the window for me. Plus my photos didn't really reflect that kind of activity. Not that that's a bad thing. Sometimes icons just represent the season, and it's okay if your photos don't reflect that season, because I'll use February as an example, January and February. A lot of people travel to tropical places in January and February, but most people, if they're doing, a monthly kind of series of layouts, they're not going to pick necessarily a tropical type of paper line for January and February. Usually it's winter, but lots of people travel in the winter. And I have tons of this style of layout for calendars and my albums, back when I did planner as well, that have travel photos in warm destinations on winter snowflake paper, because that's the season we're in. And when you're kind of thinking calendar or chronological, then you kind of go along with that. So be flexible in your thinking. But again, the surfboard didn't apply. Bikinis didn't really apply to me. A scooter didn't apply. So I thought, well, what can I add in that I can work with the stickers on here that did work, but I needed a few more embellishments, and that's where my stamps and dies come in. And that's when something like a party fan works really well, because although we're not partying here, you just pick colors that work and it easily fits in. So I really liked that. I actually had the cards on my desk for a reveal for inspiration, but then I thought, you know what, I'm going to save this because I really feel like this is something that transfers very nicely over to layouts. So again, I'll bring these cards back on. So if you are a card maker and a scrapbooker, both of these are multi-use products. So here you can see just by jazzing up the colors. And I mean, I totally could have picked different colors to pull in for the party fans. Like I could have picked colors that were in the photos to bring in, but I kind of have that orange and yellow kind of theme going on with my page. So I kind of went with that. But on some of the tags, we've got other colors. So you can certainly pull in other colors if you want to. But that's one. This is the color palette that really spoke to me. Just bringing in some of that gray and then the orange and the yellow together. There is a streamer that comes in this die as well. So if you're going to be using it for the party aspect, then totally do that. And then here is another color combination as well. So 3 beautiful cards for parties, along with interspersing them into layouts. So again, a great product that has lots of versatility. I'm not trying to sell it to you. I'm just trying to show you what is there. That is what I used. If you've got things in your stash that you think you can insert in there instead, or there's more stickers on the sticker sheet that apply to your photos a little bit better, then by all means, do that. They are add-ons, and we call them add-ons for a reason. It's up to you whether or not you want to actually add them in. But if you see yourself using something like that, it's a great little product. Okay, so next up on add-ons, what else do we have? Those 2 sets. And then I also pulled in the Weathered Words, which we used last month, I believe. It's from Tailored Expressions. It's that background stamp. I believe this has arrived and pre-orders are filled, right? Okay, so Cheryl, we're going to get to that. I'm going to demo how to use that party fan stamp. Okay, so I'll show you how I do that. Shelby, can you just verify that with me? I'm just not sure where we're at with this. I believe we filled the pre-orders from last month on this one. But if you did, oh yes, thank you. But if you did not pre-order it last month and you're going to see us use it again in a different way, you might think, ooh, I really do need that. So definitely check this one out. It's one that I will be grabbing a lot, especially when we're making our own backgrounds, because I love adding the text. Okay, so that's it for add-ons. I know some months are a little bit heavier and other months are a little bit lighter, but that's kind of how it goes. And I need the creative freedom to be able to give you the inspiration. So it is inspiration. You can take the bundle and do whatever you want with it, but definitely try out some of these new products because it is so fun to do that. So I've got a big mess going on here. Just give me 1 second here to clean up some of the pieces. This is what happens when you start showing all the things. I just want to make sure I have all my calendar pieces together, my layout together. Okay, here we go. And then I can get rid of all my add-ons onto the tray. Okay, here we go. Okay, so let's talk about the layout and give you some measurements, and then we'll get into the demo part. So white cardstock. So I'm going to talk about this part first. Okay, white cardstock. Here's my little note. So the white cardstock in their bundle is going to be used for the background on your page. And that is where you're going to create this beautiful sunshine. So I will demo a little bit more in depth once I show you all of the measurements and things. But basically what you're going to do to create your sun is you're going to find the center point on your paper. So what I did was took a ruler, measured 6 inches over from each corner. And then I lightly drew a pencil line. And really you just need to see where it intersects. So it doesn't have to be like the full length of your paper, but you just want to see where that pencil line intersects somewhere in here. Once you do that, you're going to take your ruler and you're going to draw pencil lines for the rays of the sun. Now, how I did it was I did break it into quarters. So from this quarter here, I drew like a line down the middle, and then I did another one in the middle of each of those sections too. If you want more lines, you can add more lines. If you want less lines, you add less lines. And then what I did next was I pierced the holes on top of the pencil lines that I drew for the rays. Okay. Then I erased all the pencil lines, which is easy to do. So just lightly put your pencil lines on, and then you can lightly erase them. And then what I did was I took the masking paper and I cut it into strips, and I covered up where the piercing lines were. Okay. Once that was done, I did my ink blending in my couple of different shades. And then I splattered and then removed the masking paper to expose the holes again. And then I did my stitching. So I will walk you through that process a little bit more when I demonstrate that part. But that's basically how I did that. So these are the steps. If you want to take a screenshot, don't worry. If you don't, you can come back and watch this and pause it here when I kind of do the order of how you do things. But it's a very easy process to do. The whole background, probably with a few interruptions, took me about 2.5 hours, including all the stitching. And you might think, oh my God, I don't spend 2.5 hours on any page. Well, I really enjoy the process of scrapbooking, so I don't mind that it takes me several days to complete a layout. But if you're one of these power scrapbookers, there's steps you can leave out. So I'll go into more detail with that. Okay, next up, we are going to talk about the tag paper. So I'll bring the tag paper over here. So what I did with the tag paper is I just cut apart all the tags. I knew I was going to use them as tags, so I just cut them all out. So I just cut across the 2 lines, or you can go vertically if you want. And then I cut with my trimmer. I just cut all the angles, and then you end up with all these tags. So the tags that I used, I used the Sunshine on My Mind for this part here. And then I used over here, this one here is this tag right here. You actually get 2 of them, but that's the tag that I used for this side over here. And then the rest of them are actually from the flip side. So on the flip side of the tag paper, you get a patterned topper, and then this part is all kind of empty. So I used the one with the plaid right here. And then the stripe is below it down here. So there's the striped one and the plaid one. Okay, and then over here, I've got the one with the orange polka dots. And then right here, I've got the one with the sunshine. So I kind of chose the ones that kind of kept my color scheme cohesive. There's a lot of colors going on here, so you can pick and choose how you want to use them, but those are the tags that I used. Now, this particular layout has a little bit of an interactive component. So the thing with that is your page is going to go inside a page protector, and you won't be able to access the interactive component, and that's okay. But if you pull your page out, sometimes people use this for like hidden journaling. So if you're going to be showing your albums to people and you don't want them to necessarily see what you've written, or you want to, leave a personal message for someone, if you're doing the scrapbook for them or whatever, it's kind of nice to keep that hidden. I'm just going to read a comment. I was up north recently and saw a lot of paddle boards. Yes. So paddle boards and surfboards kind of go together, and it depends on your way of thinking. So definitely look at that sticker sheet and see what you can pull from it. I tried to keep the things that I used sort of generic, but you can definitely maybe use some of the things on there. But I still think these fans are a great embellishment for your pages. Okay, so back to this. So this has an interactive component. See how these tags pull out? So I actually have additional photos on these tags. So I'll just tuck that one back in. And then this one here also pulls out, and there's an additional photo here. So that is also where those little bags come in, because I didn't really talk about them too much. These little bags here. So they're kind of hidden on the layout. You don't really see them. You can kind of see it a little bit over here, but this allows your tag to go in and out really easily. And I just loved that it allowed me to sort of stack the tags a little bit. And then over here, it allows the tag to go in and out easily, because remember, underneath this photo, I have my stitching and you don't want it catching on there. So these little bags are just a really great idea for adding a little pocket. And you might see these surface again on other layouts, but I like that. And we may have them for sale in the near future. I got to get through this layout first, but it's a great little option for making little pockets and things. So, because these are really nice to even just have on a page. And you can have the front, you can add little strips and do fun things with it and decorate it as part of an embellishment. But I chose this time to kind of keep them hidden and just use them as a tool to have those tags pop in and out. So, and then when the layout is not being viewed that way, they just sit there. They just blend in and no one really knows that they're there. And it just looks like it's part of the layout. So I love the little pocket idea. So that is what I used for tags. And then put the tag paper back. The next paper we have are the 3x4 elements. Now, if you've never used these before, they have lots of things on them that you can cut apart if you like to fussy cut. I also like to use them as matting for photos because you don't necessarily have to use all the graphics, and not all of them are conducive to this, but it can be done. So the matting for both of these photos are actually this and this 3x4 cut apart. So I just cut them out and then I layered my photos on top, and you can see that you get that nice patterned matting for your pictures. Now, this particular photo here is this one. And I really like this Days Like These word set. So I used an X-Acto knife and I cut that out of the middle of it. And then when my photo went over it, you don't know that I cut the middle out of it. And then I was able to cut these out and I used them up here. So it's just kind of really analyze these 3x4 cut aparts. And same thing goes with the tags and the 4x6 ones, the 4x4s. There's lots of things that you can do with them other than just cut them apart and use them like they are. Like you can, get creative with lots of different things. So I did use these two to mat my photos. And then this one here, I used Soak It Up and I cut them out and I used it on this tag over here. So not a lot with this one, but I did use some elements from it. The camera is really cool too. It just didn't work for the way that I did my page. I think the camera would look really cool over here too, because you take lots of pictures in the summer. So a camera on the layout would be kind of fun. I chose to go with the tag and the large word sticker and the kite and stuff, but the camera could definitely be cut out and used on the page too. And this, the backside of this one didn't really work with the color scheme that I was going for. So I didn't end up using any of the paper on the back there too. But definitely check out these divided pages because they're really cool to use. So those are the 3 elements that I used on that one. And then we talked briefly about the bags. I did cut them down. They were too long the way that they are now. So I did lose the little flap, but I wasn't really using it as a element that the flap needed to show. I was kind of keeping it hidden. So I did trim from the bottom up to 3.5 inches. So you want to keep that folded section, sealed section at the bottom. You want to cut up here. So you'll get rid of the flap and you'll cut it at 3.5 inches. And then it just kind of tucks in behind and allows you to tuck your tag in and out. Because if the pocket's too long, your tag might disappear really far in there and then you won't be able to get it out. So yeah, so that's how the elements worked. Any questions so far? Because now we're going to move on to sort of techniques. Just going to wait a second and see if anybody has a question. Don't be shy. Feel free to ask. I'm going to take a drink while we wait. Okay, nothing so far. I will keep an eye on it. If anybody has anything, just shout it out. No question is a dumb question, so feel free to ask. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to break down the techniques that I used on the page. So I'm going to pull in the white sheet of paper, and I'm going to show you how I find the center point on here. It's very easy to do. So all I'm going to do is take a ruler. I haven't cut the barcode off this. Maybe I should do that, because then we're getting a true measurement. Sorry, this is always a little bit cumbersome on screen because I use a guillotine trimmer, so I don't want to use the small trimmer. Okay, there we go. So we got rid of that barcode. And now we're working with a 12 by 12 piece of paper. So I'm simply going to take my ruler and a pencil, and I'm just going to mark the 6-inch mark on both sides of the paper. Actually, on all four, because you want to make sure your ruler is straight. Although I could use my T ruler for this, but I'm just putting a little mark, and I'm using light pencil. Okay, don't push hard because that's much harder to erase. Now, I am not going to be doing all of the masking and the piercing and the ink blending, but I will walk you through the steps because we would be here for 2.5 hours. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is just take this, and I'm just going to lightly draw a line, and then this way, sorry if I'm off screen, just need to see. There we go. And I'm just going to do this like so. So now we've found the center point of our layout. So you might not be able to see it very well because I went very light with pencil. But from there now, what I'm going to do is I'm just guessing. It doesn't have to be perfect. The rays are not 100% spaced out evenly and measured. They're just simply drawn on like it's willy-nilly. Honestly, I didn't go too crazy. So what you're going to do now, and because this is the center point and this is the corner, okay, you can actually line your ruler up at the center point there and the corner up here, and you can draw your first ray. Again, lightly draw it. And now you have this section and this section. So now you can just, again, from that center point, just sort of place your ruler and draw another ray. Now, what I will point out is that the rays they're not even. Okay, so this one stopped here and this one came way out here. So having some variety when you go around gives it interest and character. You want to make sure you come out far enough because, again, you're going to be putting all this stuff on top. So you don't want to cover it all up and then go, oh gosh, like I can't even see it. So you have to come out, like just kind of take note how far out, how much space is left, you know, once you ink blend and stuff. You want to have it come out far enough for that. So here I've got 2 rays, and then I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to add my final one. Again, I'm just eyeballing it, not really going too crazy. Okay, so here's one section that's kind of done. So the next step, what I would do, let me refer to my notes so I don't mislead you, is take my piercing tool and my ruler and my piercing mat, and I'm just going to place the ruler on the line, and I'm going to pierce a hole every 1/4 inch. Okay, so you're going to do that for the whole thing. And then just keep in mind when you are piercing the middle, you don't want to get a whole bunch of pierce marks right in the center here. All of that is going to be covered up. So if you want to cheat on your stitching, you don't have to go right to the middle. So like start like part way up your line and do your piercing from there. Okay, so once everything is pierced, then what you're going to do is you're going to take your masking paper. So let me find mine. Here we go. So this is the one thing that I might change if I was to do the layout a second time, which I am not going to do. But I did my masking strips I did them a 1/4 inch. I'm trying to get my paper out here, sorry. I did them a 1/4 inch in width, and then I went lengthwise. So that's what this width is. Okay. If I was to do it again, I probably would do like 3/8, which is just slightly, no, that's more, just slightly less than a 1/4, not like an 1/8. That's really skinny. So just like between an 1/8 and a 1/4, just a wee bit more. That's not 3/8, is it? No, because 3/8 is between a 1/4 and a 1/2. Yeah. So whatever that measurement is, because that way, when you lay your masking strip over top of your piercing, it won't be quite as wide. I'm okay with it now that the whole layout is done. I think it's an okay width. It's definitely easy to work with. So a 1/4 inch is comfortable. And this is exactly what a 1/4 inch looks like. So that's what I did mine. And I will say, try to be very accurate when you're cutting your masking strips, because if you cut one wider than the other and so on, you're really going to notice that when you are covering up and doing your ink blending. Okay. So try to be as accurate as you can. Cut a bunch of them. Depends how many rays you have. And then you're simply going to take your masking strip and you're going to lay it right over top of the line that you've got your piercing. Now, I found with the masking papers that I had, the masking was thin enough that I could actually see the holes that I had pierced. So it was pretty easy to tell if it was lined up. And take your masking out as far as you can, even past where your line is on your ray, because you want to have those sections all masked off out as far as you can. The next step then is to take your blending brush and blend. So I'm going to practice blend for you, just so you can see. Oh, we didn't talk about ink colors. So ink colors, I used a variety of different inks. Now you guys can go through your ink stash and figure out which colors work best for you. And the best way to do that is swatch it out. So once you get your bundle, if you don't want to purchase ink based on the colors that we recommend, then just wait till you get your bundle and swatch out some ink, which is exactly what I'm going to do right now. Now I already know what colors I'm going to go with, but I used 2 different colors of I'll call them yellows. They're more like a mustard or golden color. So Tailored Expressions Honey and then Dijon. So Honey is the lighter color and Dijon is the darker color. There's not a lot of difference in them. You could probably get away with one color and then just blend heavier if you wanted to, but there is a slight difference in the colors, and I think it made a difference. So you can see out on the edges here, the lighter color that I used, it's more yellow. And then the Dijon is definitely got a mustardy kind of tone to it. So I liked that, but you can play around with the colors that you have. I did not swatch out all the ink companies to pick them for you. And here's why. Because let's say you're at home creating your own layout and you see an idea and they've blended the background. 90% of them are not going to tell you what colors they used. So you got to go to your stash and you got to figure that out. So the best way to do it is to ink swatch. And that's what I did when I was choosing the colors. I ink swatched it out and kind of came up with the color palette that I wanted. So I encourage you to do the same thing. So I'm not being mean. I'm trying to give you the tools and the skills to do this on your own. So what I want to do, because I'm going to be using my 1-inch brush, that's what I want to swatch with so that I'm getting a true color tone. And this is where your microfiber cloth comes in handy, which I've lost somewhere. Come on. I've got more. Don't worry. Okay, let's just pull one out. So the first thing I always do when I am blending is to make sure that my brush has been cleaned off. Now, I'm very good about cleaning off my brush when I'm done crafting. So generally, although it's stained, there's not a lot of ink building up on there. I'm going to start with my lightest color. Okay, I find you learn the colors faster that way. 100%. I mean, you want to get to know your products. And Amanda brings up a very good point. You will tend to go to the same color families a lot. Whether you know it or not, you actually have a preference. And once you start to play with your inks and you swatch them out and you play with them, you start to develop favorites. They're kind of like your kids. You love them all, but you do have favorites for certain things. So anyway, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to lightly swatch just by blending. And I'm kind of blending the same way I would blend if I was blending my background, just so you can get an idea. Okay, and you can go as light or as heavy as you want. And it's going to look kind of something like that. And it might look a little bit splotchy at first or whatever, but these inks have a leveling agent and they will level out. So we're just going to kind of do that. Okay, so that's my lightest color. So once I got that and I knew that was going to work, so I'm just going to pull this kind of over here. So you can see that if you look at the top here, I'm trying to find a section that just shows really well. Yep, so right in here, that is exactly the color that is showing on here. So that works really well. But you can see the difference on my swatch here to the darker colors on the edge. That's going to be the Dijon and a different type of blending brush. Okay, so I'm actually going to blend on the back of this too, because I'm going to be using this for something else, but I want to show you. Now I'm not picking up more ink from my pad. I'm just picking it up off of my glass mat because there's a lot of ink still left in my brush that I can pull in. So not only are we cleaning our brush off, we're actually building up color as we go. Okay, so there we go. Now I'm going to switch to the Dijon. Now on this side, I'm going to kind of show you how I blend with the different brush and intensify that color. So this is for your background when you have it all masked off. And when you do this blending, you want to concentrate, pretend these are masked off. You want to concentrate on the edges where the masking is and sort of blend. You still want that lighter yellow color to show as well. So don't blend the whole thing, or you're going to end up covering it all up with the dark color and then you won't have any light. So you want to blend in some of the darker color, but not tons. Okay, so I'm going to pull in. I'm using the Altenew, the little stubby ones. I think these are called small. I always forget. I should label my container and then I would remember. So this is the Dijon. So it's a bit darker. Now I don't have a masking strip on here. Well, I guess I could put one on. Why don't we do that? I can just cut one really quick and put one on. And then I can kind of show you what I'm talking about. I'm even going to cut it at 1/4 inch just so you can see. So this would be the masking strip. We're going to pretend that I have stitching down the middle here. And we're just going to apply this masking strip. So what I do when I apply the strip is I take off some of the background and put it down on the dots, and then you kind of pull, and then you can kind of move this around. Oops, what's happening? I got the wrong piece down. I'm like, it's not sticking. Okay, so you're just going to kind of put that down, and then you can kind of move it around, make sure you're covering up your dots. Okay, and then you can just tear off whatever you need. So we're going to pretend that our rays are going this way, okay, and that I blended before. So I'm now going to take the darker color and I'm going to intensify right over top of my masking strip, because this is going to hit both sides of the ray. You're not going to get the same kind of blending with a brush like this. You need to have something that's a little more focused. You could go with a smaller brush even still than this, but you want to have some of that color, going out. So depending on how many rays you have in your sun, you might find that you want to have a smaller piece. Now I'm going to peel this off, but you can see how the color is more intense right along the edge of the masking paper. And that is what you want. And I'm going to show you again, just quickly. See how I've got, like, my masking paper would be out right over top of this. So it's darker along the edges of that. So I blended right over top of the masking paper, and the ink will go on both sides. And then I did it on this one, and it goes on both sides. But you still want to have that area in the center where it has a little bit of that lighter color coming through. As you get down in this area down here where the rays are much closer together, because that's where the point of the triangle is going to be, it's going to be harder to do that. But don't worry, because this is going to cover all of that up. But you can see down here too. See how you've got that nice lighter color in the middle? And see here, I stopped my blending at the end of this, but I extended it out a little bit more over here. And I love how that looks. It looks like it kind of like fades out, but it's not 100% even. So you definitely want to go with that look. I should have put my masking strip down first so you could see what the white would look like, but that's going to give you blending on both sides of the strip. So that's what you want. Now, masking strips can be used again and again. So if you want to save this, just stick it even to the packaging on your masking paper, like this. Oh, I almost emptied the whole pack. So here, you can just take this masking strip, stick it on there like that, and then you can use that again. Eventually, the stickiness will wear off, and then you have to get a new piece if it's not sticking well. or if ink is bleeding underneath or whatever, but you can save that and use it again. So that is that. So then once you've got your ink blending done, you want to make sure you splatter and then let that dry and then take off your masking strips. Okay. So you want to do the whole background, your ink blending and your splattering, then take off your masking strips. And then you're going to be left with your piece of background paper that has all your pierced holes on it. And that's when you're going to go ahead and do your stitching. And then that will complete your background. And again, when you're doing your stitching, some of the rays will come out further and some you'll stop a little bit sooner. And you want that variance as you're kind of going around. It just gives that illusion of a beaming sun. So that is how I do that. Anybody have any questions about that part? Can you show splattering? Monica, I'd rather not. I have all kinds of stuff all over my desk. I've shown it in multiple videos before. You'd have to go back through archives to see it. But basically all you're going to do is you're going to take that ink, or you can even use like black stamping ink if you want to. I find it's not quite as vibrant as the other ink. You're literally going to put a little drop on your glass surface or whatever surface you're using. And you can add a bit of water if you want to dilute it. If you're using like ink off of your pad, you're going to definitely have to do that. And that's why it's not as vibrant. But the Winsor & Newton ink, I find I don't like to add water to it if I don't have to. And then you're going to dip your brush in and you're literally going to tap it on your finger. Okay. And then the ink is going to splatter down. If you don't want to do it on your layout first, just practice on a scrap piece of paper and then just tap it on your finger until you kind of get the size of splatter that you want. The further away you are, the smaller your splatter is going to be. The closer you are, the bigger it's going to be. And brush size is going to be a big factor as well. But yeah, experiment with it a little bit. It does take a little bit of practice, but it is so worth it. I'll have black splatter on everything if I do it now. My iPad, my everything, my layouts, all my inks will be covered in it, even if I do it in the splatter box. So use the same colors as on the page, Dijon, for example. Like for your splattering, you can, but I like the contrast of the black. It's gonna really show it off. But you can use the same colors. You can use rainbow colors if you want to. I do black for splattering. And so again, I'm more of a neutral person when it comes to the splattering. Sometimes I will use colored ink. I can't say I never do. Sometimes I do, depending on the technique. But often I'll use black or white, and then the gold and silver are quite nice too, depending on what you're doing. But generally, oh yes, good point, Judy. For the stitching, did you use 3 strands? So for the white, stitching for the rays this time, because again, I wanted it nice and chunky and we're doing a big area, I used all 6 strands. But that's a very good question because I don't always. Oftentimes I will only use 2 or 3. So it depends how chunky you want your stitching to look. And in this particular case, this is all 6 strands and it does look nice and chunky, but I'm doing a full background. So that's why I did that. But if you want it to look more like machine stitching, then I go down to 2 or 3 strands of the white floss. And what you do have to be careful of when you are piercing your holes, and I'll pull this on here to show you. So my piercing tool, the tip of it is quite thin. I don't know if this is showing. Yep, it is. And then it gets quite thick as it goes down. So if you're pushing your piercing hole or your piercing tool all the way in, then you get a big hole. And if you're only using 2 or 3 strands of floss, it doesn't look very good. So be mindful of that, how far in you're pushing your piercer and how big of a hole you're making to stitch. So with the full 6 strands, I find it's fine to go in a little further because the chunkiness of the thread just fills in the hole. Does that make sense? Close up of the splattering on your page. Yes, I can. I will show that. So it's quite fine, but there are times when I do want chunky splatter. So it really just depends on the look that you want. And there's nothing wrong with having chunky splatter on this page. I just preferred to have it a little more subtle in the background. That's all. And maybe what I'll do, Monica, I'm going to write this down, is maybe I will do a separate video, kind of like I did with the postage, where I just do splattering. I'm not creating anything. I'm just giving you some tips and techniques for splattering. I can do that. And then I can upload that to the YouTube channel, and then that will live there forever. And those kinds of videos are good because then whenever I'm talking about it, we can just tag you to that video and you can go and watch that. So I will make a note to do that so that you can see that. And maybe I'll even do a little one on stitching too, just so that we can refer people to that video. And then that way they can see how you do that specific technique. And I would be happy to do that for other things. So if you guys have some suggestions on little videos that you just would like to see a little bit more focus on just that particular thing, we're happy to do that. Yeah, TSF Basics. That's a good idea. Make a note, Shelby, make a note. But guys, if you just stay hidden in the background and you don't ask these questions, we just think everybody knows this stuff. So it's great to ask these questions and remind me that you would love a video, a masking video like that. Okay, I could do that. I could totally do that because those little videos are really easy for me to film. And I like that they live on the page and then we can just, send you a link. Oh, she's making a list. Excellent. This is why we miss Shelby when she's not here, is she does all the things. Okay, awesome. Okay, they're making notes. Okay, so that is the background. So really fun to do. Again, set aside a little bit of time. Maybe don't expect that you're going to get your whole layout done in one sitting. Like maybe one evening you get your lines drawn and your holes pierced, and then a couple nights later you sit down and you mask it all off, and then you do the ink blending and the splattering and you let it dry and they come back and then you do the stitching. It can be like a whole process, but really enjoy the process. That's the thing. Like I love the process of seeing it all together. It's really fun. Okay, so we're going to move on now. Let's talk about the fans. Fans are great. Okay, let me just clear off this stuff again because I've got things everywhere, which is why I don't want to splatter because it's going to end up on everything. Okay, so what I did was I went ahead and I stamped out a couple of fans, but I will show you the stamp. It's just a regular stamp. So it's no different than, and I've lost it too. Hold on. I buried it. Oh, here it is. Okay, so it's no different than any other stamp, but what you do to it makes it a little bit different. And I have to credit Amanda for that because I was looking at it too going, I don't understand how these fans work. Okay, everything is a typical stamp hand. Okay, I'm just making sure I'm not missing comments. Okay, so 2 large size, 2 small size. So when you take it off, what you see in black on this package is what you're going to get when you stamp this out. So I didn't do it in black. I did it in orange and I did it in mustard, no sunflower. So again, we varied. I just did the same colors Amanda did on her card here. I opened up the little panel here and I used what she did because I held this up to my layout and it was perfect. This is very similar to the colors that I chose for tailored. So you could totally do that for your yellow one. The orange color I used was from Pink Fresh, Clementine. Now, this particular grouping of inks, they sell their pads in sets of 4. There's 4 different shades of oranges in the pack. I think this one is out of stock, and there are many colors from Pink Fresh that are out of stock right now, and we can only order direct. So if they're out of stock, we're out of luck. So we're waiting for them to restock. We have some coming, but oh, you did dig them out. Did we have this one? Oh, yay. Okay. And I just saw a question. Robin's saying when, okay, hang on. Let's put it up here. Oh, why is it not showing? Okay, when I do sun rays, I don't know how to make the background behind the rays a different color. Not sure if there's a masking technique for that. Robin, I'm not 100% sure I understand what you're asking. So do you mean this part here? Is that what you're talking about? Because that's just the 2 shades of ink blending separately. You're going to do the whole base. I'll do a video on it where we just do a little section. You're going to do the whole base, just kind of like I did on that, on this piece here. You do the whole base in the lighter color, and then you're going to come back with the darker color and you're going to get the rays that way. I'm just not 100% sure if that's what you're talking about. If I'm out to lunch, let me know, because I'm happy to try and explain it a little bit better. Okay, so I stamped one out in orange and one out in yellow. But then the next step, and because I have my yellow brush out, I'm going to do the demo with the yellow. But the next step, and I used sunflower, so I'm going to use sunflower. So again, I'm just going to use the same yellow brush I used before, but I'm just going to take my cloth and I'm going to make sure I get all of the residue off from those other colors. Now I did blend quite a bit, so I think most of it is off. That way I don't transfer it over. I think she may mean in general, if you want a different color behind them, that's not the cardstock color. Yes, so it would be kind of a similar technique to this if I'm understanding. So let's say you've either stamped a sunray or you've ink blended it, and see how I still have white showing? You're just going to take your blending brush and you're going to blend over top. And that's going to blend in the white, but don't blend as dark as the stamped image, which isn't, I mean, that'd be really hard to do. And that's going to give you sort of a tone on tone look. And this is what Amanda did with all of her fans on her cards, which I thought was a really cool idea. It's great to stamp them, and that does give you this look. So that's another way to use the stamp set. Okay, I think Shelby's picking up what she's putting down. So she's typing. Okay, so this is the look if you just stamp it. This is the look if you ink blend as well. And I'll hold those up so you can get a better idea. And then I'll show you the layout again. So white background or ink blended background. So it gives you a little bit of a different look. Either I think would work nicely. So I'll bring this one in and put it next to the other one with the orange. So see how that looks? Ooh, see, you could even tuck in another fan there. Like they really do fit onto the layout so nicely. So even leaving them white is nice, but here is the yellow fan. Okay. So that's how that works. And you can pick and choose the colors you want to use and how you want to jazz them up. But that's the technique that was used to make the fans. So really simple and easy. And then there is one here that is done in a dark gray. So that is a Catherine Pooler ink. Now I'm sure you could check your gray inks. This is Twilight. So I stamped it in the Twilight ink. So that's the dark color that you see. And then I also ink blended with the Twilight over top. And that's what gives you that nice gray look. And then same thing with the Clementine, which is the orange one. You stamp it with the ink, and then you go back in with your blending brush and you blend over top just to get rid of that white background and turn it into a lighter orange. And it gives you that tone on tone. Yes, Robin, it is a video. I don't remember which one, but if you go onto our YouTube playlist for 2025 calendar, you'll have to go back and look at which videos are there, but I did show how to do that. So there is a video there for that. So yeah, so that's how I did the fans. Very, very easy. Cheryl, does that answer your questions if you're still here about how to use the fans? Because I want to make sure that you're clear on that. So the fans are very easy to use. And the stamp set does come with the streamer and the larger size. And then it also comes with these stamps here. And those are little detail lines that you can add to your fans as well. And then they do have centers that you can stamp and cut out if you want to put the centers in them. Now I use stickers on our fans because there's little circle stickers on the sticker sheet. And I just put them in the center of the fans just to fill them in. So that worked out quite well. But there is a stamp set that you can stamp a color that you want and put it in the middle. And there's a die for it too. So that works quite well. Okay, so any questions about fans? Just shout them out and I'd be happy to answer. Next up we have, I'm losing all my lists. I had a list of all the things I wanted to go over. Oh, I buried it. Here it is. Okay, the celebrate word, how I did that. Okay, so here it is. Okay, and what I did was I cut it out of white twice and I stuck it together. So this has dimension now. But for my top layer, funny story. I was swatching out my inks and I had a scrap piece of paper sitting there. And I thought, you know what? I could make that a piece of paper that I use to cut out the celebrate word. It was literally a piece just like this because I just swatched out the ink. And I just put the die cut over top and I was going to cut it out. And I'm like, wait, because it's the perfect shade. So you don't want it too dark that it blends completely in with your background, or either that or you got to make it a lot darker so it really pops off. My blending is a little bit lighter, and although it blends in, so it's not shouting at you, it still pops off enough. And I wanted to add a little bit of text to that. So what I did was I took my Weathered Words background stamp and I just stamped on top of this piece. I'm just cleaning off my desk here so I can demo that. So I had a piece like this and I thought, okay, I need the Weathered Words stamp set, which is right here. Now, this is a background stamp, so you can stamp a complete background, but I like to just stamp pieces of it. And I don't like it to be super dark. So what I do is I take my black ink. I am using Memento ink right now. And I just stamp a section of it, just randomly, just like that. And then I stamp off. And that's what this was. So here's my scraps from before. And that's what I ended up using to cut out my celebrate word. Now I'm going to grab just a piece of paper here because the ink is going to be quite dark right now and I don't want it that dark. And I'm simply going to take this and stamp off. So that's the dark version. I don't want it that dark on my paper. So you can stamp off a couple times if you want to, but now I'm just going to randomly touch the text down on the stamped areas. You're just simply going to fill it in as much as you want. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Easy, right? And now we're going to take the celebrate word from this package, pull it out, and I have, so this celebrate word comes with a shadow die. Same thing with party. We're not using the shadow for our layout, but it does have a shadow die for both party and celebrate. And now I'm just going to take this and I'm going to run it through my die cut machine. So I'll be right back. It only takes a second. And then you've made your own title and you've customized how you want it to look on your page. So you have the flexibility to cut it out of any color, any shade, anything you want. I'm just going to pop out these little pieces here and then pop out the die. And now we have the celebrate, and it's got the shading and the text. So it was really just my scrap piece of paper. And then we're going to take that and we're going to adhere it to the two I already stacked. So now we're going to have 3 stacked, and that's going to give it a little bit of dimension on our page. So that's what you're going to end up with. And that will then go onto your layout here. And then I found a sticker that says Sunny Times. So I'm celebrating Sunny Times. And, you know, I've got the camera on here. I've decorated with the little heart stickers. There's a cloud and a sunshine. I put that here. And then down here, I made a little cluster. I've got this little boom box. I don't know what it had in the corner that I didn't like. Let me see. Oh, it had this. I guess like it's an old style like radio. So I covered that up with the soda pop and the sunglasses. I tucked the umbrella in behind. I added my postage stamp. And then same thing here. I added another postage stamp here and another postage stamp there. So just, you know, minimal embellishments on this side. And then over on the other side of the paper. Wow, I'm a hot mess today, guys. If you could see my desk. On this side, I used one of the tags because we got 2 of those. So I ended up using, did I use one over here? No, I didn't. So I just used the one here. I put the large sunny days stamp right over top. I added another pair of sunglasses, the soak it up from the 3x4 cut apart. And then I added the kite up at the top. And I do have my topper on this tag as well in the bow. So super easy to make that little cluster. Now here, behind this, I just ink blended and did a little splattering, and that was it. I didn't do like a rays of sunshine or anything. I didn't want to get the stamps all out to do all that stuff. So I just pulled the orange over a little bit on that side. So that made it kind of cohesive. So it worked out good. So it kind of goes together, but you don't need the sun rays and stuff. Like it's fine. Okay, so that's that. So the last demo I'm going to do is the postage stamps. And like I said, I have a full video, and it's not very long, already up on our YouTube channel. So if you want detailed instructions on how to make them, you can go ahead and watch that. So again, I said I had this piece of swatched paper, and I even have a little bit here that I could cut some pieces out of as well. So maybe when you're swatching, do a big enough piece. But I did have some left over here. So what I did on top of the A2 size postage stamp, you need to cut a piece that's 3/4 by 3/4. And that's the piece you're going to layer on top of this to make it into a postage stamp. Okay. So you're just going to take your trimmer and you're going to cut a piece that measures 3/4 of an inch, 3/4 of an inch by 3/4 of an inch. And you can choose what part of the paper you want to stamp it or cut it out of. So I always cut backwards. Where are we at here? Let's get rid of this part because there's not much over there anyway. Okay, so I'm going to just cut that. So I'm going to make a bunch of these and put them in my stash because I have leftover paper here. And then the embellishments are already made and easy for me to pull out. So here's a piece that's got quite a bit of text on it. I'll show you the difference. Just a second here. So here's one piece. And then this one here, it doesn't have a lot of text on it. So I'll show you what they look like. All right, so set these scraps aside here. So here are the two, here are the two pieces that I got just by cutting that out. So one of them has a little bit more text on it, one does not. They fit perfectly on top of this little postage piece. So I cut this die out of white. Okay, so that's the background for my postage stamp. That's the die from the postage collage set that I showed you. This one you cut yourself and you layer it on top. So this is where you can make any theme that you want. So if you've got scraps of Christmas paper or you've got scraps of Halloween paper or whatever you want, you can theme them to whatever theme you want to do. So once you get that cut out, any stamping that you want to do, you should do first and then layer it on here. So with the fall set, I'll just pull this out and just do something really quick. So we're going to grab, I'm going to grab this little postage mark because I just think it's the perfect size. Okay, so we're going to grab that. I'm going to grab a little stamping block. So you thought that you only need a Misty? Well, these still come in very handy. These are Gina K. I love them. They have the little comfort grip. There's a grid on here for lining things up. They come in different sizes, but there's also a pack that gives you all of them. It's quite nice to have in the stash for sure. So I'm just going to take this and I'm going to stamp that little wave and it's going to go off the side. So see what I mean? Like it's not, I'm not putting the whole stamp on there. And then this one I'm going to have come off this side because depending on how you tuck these in, you may want different parts of the stamp to show. So these are like mirrored images of each other. And that way you have the option to put them in either direction. Okay, and now I'm going to grab that 25-cent stamp, which is my new favorite one. It's just nice and bold. Okay, so I'm just going to stamp the 25 cents at the top. And then this one, I'm going to do it on this side. I mean, how cute are these? Oh my gosh. So I forget who said it to me. They were in the store and they said that they thought the idea was cool and then they made some and they were just giddy. So now before I go ahead and stick it on, this is where this brown ink is going to come in to play because I kind of wanted it to be a little grungy. And I'm just going to take this and just distress the edges a little bit just to darken them up. Give it a little bit of contrast. You guys got real quiet. Nobody's asking any questions or saying anything. So I'm either boring you or losing you, or you're just so enthralled. Okay, and now we are gonna take this with a little bit of glue. And you're just going to adhere this to the die cut. Like as soon as you lay it on there, you're like, oh my gosh. And I mean, I'm using white as the background for my postage stamp, but you could use red for Christmas. You could do anything you want. And then you end up with this cute little postage stamp. Like what? Now, I told you that one of my Christmas ones was missing because I mailed a card, and it happened to be a Christmas card. And what I did was on the back of my envelope, I used it as a seal. So I sealed my envelope up, and then I put this right on the back of the envelope. And mine was Christmas themed, so it was so cute. You know, like it just was perfect for my, but I mean, you could make a fake card, even if you're hand delivering something to someone. You could put a fake postage stamp on. So cool. But yeah, so that's how you do the postage stamps. So really easy. And like I said, we do have a video that is up on our YouTube channel that you can go and check out. Let me read comments. Zora was deep cleaning her kitchen. Well, you know what? I'm hoping I'm making the task a little bit better. Judy's just enthralled. She's a sponge. Karen doing great in multitasking and cooking eggs. Perfect. Okay, well, that's, I think, everything. I think I covered everything. I will work on the little videos that I will put up, and we'll send them out in an email so you'll know they're there or something. I can't promise I'm going to do them today or tomorrow, but I've got a lot of things to catch up on since Shelby was away last week. I was doing a lot of the things that she does, and so some of my tasks slipped under the rug a little bit. So I've got to get caught up on some things, but I will work on doing some of these little videos. And anytime you have an idea, you can email us your idea and say, hey, you know what? I'd really love a video. I can't promise I'll do them all the time. And I can, if I'm not going to do it, I'll let you know. But if you have a suggestion of something that just a small little thing that we can do in a video, we will work on that. We are definitely building our library of videos. So we're happy to do that. So if there's something you saw or something I said that you thought, hey, could you expand on that a little bit? I'm happy to do that. So, okay, that's it for today. We are at 1 hour and 37 minutes. So Shelby is going to make sure those bundles are up online, and you can go shopping for your calendar bundles and all the add-ons and fun things. And if you have any questions, just let us know. We will see you again soon.